Hello everyone, I'm Vinathi Gurijala. I'm pursuing my Masters of Arts in Sociology from Central University of Hyderabad. My research interests are urban sociology, migration, citizenship, gender and sexuality. I'd like to thank the organizers and Navrachna University for their efforts into organizing this conference.
A very warm greeting to everyone. I'm Aleesha, a sociology student from Hyderabad Central University. My research interests are in gender, caste, and urban studies. I'm extremely glad to have got this opportunity to present our paper in this MediaKonnect' 2021 along with my co-author Vinathi Gurijala. So, coming to our paper, our work is titled Queering Online Spaces, a study of Instagram as a space for everyday queer activism. It is an attempt at understanding the everyday activities and everyday activism of queer individuals on the digital platform, namely Instagram. Instagram being one among the prominent social media network with a large user base globally as well as in India has given the queer individuals a space that is otherwise distant to them. We argue through this paper that the presence of queers on Instagram has challenged the gender binaries and heteronormativity of the space through their everyday activism by means of self representation and expression. The paper also presents a critical analysis of the nature of the space and visibility visibility on the virtual platform offered by the Instagram to queer individuals. Now over to Vinathi.
Thank you, Alicia. Moving on to literature review. For the paper, we reviewed, relied on, and critically engaged with previous research on virtual media. Beginning with the idea of everyday activism, this concept has been used and presented differently by different scholars to understand self representation of marginalized groups on virtual media. Sonja, in one of her articles, defined everyday activism as an expansion of existing definitions of organized, strategic, and intentional activism. She argues that everyday activists use their personal stories in mundane environments to challenge social norms. While Sonja's stance is important, it is also important to ask, are all actions of everyday activism intended and consciously performed? In the article Exploring the Politics of Gender Representation on Instagram, the authors argue that self representation on Instagram goes beyond overt online activism. Such everyday politics or everyday activism differs from the deliberate use of Instagram for digital feminist activism. While exploring the politics of gender representation on Instagram as more diverse, inclusive, and empowering, the article also warns us against the overly positive understanding of the space. Instead, Instagram can also continue to reinforce and reproduce existing hegemonic notions of gender. Stephanie, in her article, argues that gender and sexuality are performative in nature, and increasing visibility of queer or non normative performances of sexuality in public can potentially counter heteronormativity. Dasgupta, in his work, situates queer subjects in online spaces as bodies that are forging spaces of comfort and intimacy. He analyzes the relationship between virtual and physical spaces and sees digital spaces as supporting and aiding queer activism in India. Drawing from these works, our paper aims to understand online activism not just as a supporting feature, but as an integral part of queer activism. We understand everyday activism as not just deliberate and intentional political activism, but embodied activism, where the presence and expression of queer individuals itself challenges the binary gender performances and heteronormativity of the space, leading to a certain queering of the space. We acknowledge that the visibility of queerness is not singular and that there are multiple self representations and visibilities. We also recognize the limitation of using a singular lens to study all queer identities. Moving on to the aims of the paper. Through this paper, we aim to build a qualitative understanding of the nature of space Instagram provides to queer community and to document a certain queering of Instagram as a space. We will attempt to understand the role of Instagram in the larger queer movement and activism that led to structural changes in India. We also aspire to ask and understand what Instagram as a space means to queer individuals. Alongside, the paper also critically engages with Instagram as a space of everyday activism and discusses the limitations. For the methodology of the paper, the study has been based on qualitative interviews of queer individuals of urban situated universities in India who use Instagram. It also relies on observation and analysis of certain active pages of public queer figures, queer art accounts, pages of queer organizations, and awareness pages of India. The idea of India here, however, is attached with a certain complexity as Instagram is a global platform. The study here particularly refers to pages whose offline work is based in India. This essay is also motivated by and is inclusive of the researchers' experiences of being part of the queer movements online, while we are also constantly negotiating our own positions in relation to the movement. Let me now move to the first section of our paper, which is Everyday Activism, the Politics of Expression and Space Making. Marginalized groups have historically been associated with the consumption of media and not the production of it. Instagram has democratized the means of content creation, providing agency to its users by letting them decide what to share, how to word their captions, and how to describe themselves. Our interlocutors said that Instagram not only provides them space for expressing themselves, but also gives them a sense of community as they follow people and pages that they identify with. They also expressed their fears of keeping their profile public on the platform, thus indicating their constant negotiation between privacy and publicness of being queer. While many queers engage in intentional activism, there is some embodied activism, which is also a fundamental part of everyday activism. One of our interlocutors, who identifies as agender, non binary, trans, queer person, explains remarkably, quote, I think my gender comes out just as it is. Do you ask a cis woman how she performs her gender? Even if she wears a masculine top, she's still performing her gender, and she is perceived as such. So same with me. A lot of people can somehow tell there's something queer about me. I don't know what it is, but they do. Quote, self-representation on Instagram is not a deliberate political act, but it becomes political. The gender performance that is embodied by non-binary individuals on Instagram is in itself a radical act which challenges the binary construction of gender on the space. Our interlocutors have also discussed the importance of acceptance, positive reception, and validation they receive from the space. This is a major part of their reasons for engaging in Instagram. They also find comfort in the sense of anonymity and distance Instagram provides from their families. In India, access to safe spaces for queers is restricted, and thus Instagram provides an opportunity for queers to distance themselves from natal families and their abuse. I now request Aleesha to continue.
Before moving on to the next section, queer networks, let me tell you that it is found by various studies that internet has been a vital part in the growth of queer movements and solidarity networks in South Asia. Queer networking. Here we look specifically at Instagram as a platform for resource network creation for queer community. Instagram, a predominant photo sharing app, adds a different and significant feature in this digital queer movement. That is, the performative photographic self-portraits, which are a characteristic feature of Instagram, push the boundaries of how we understand gender identity, intersectional, non-binary identities, and various relations between aesthetics, gender, race, and class. It contributes to transnational solidarity creation. The solidarity networks often transcend their virtual existence to translate into support groups for queer individuals, which undertake various activities such as donation drives for members of the community who are in need. Moving on, while it is true that Instagram offers a space of visibility to queer identities, which is often absent for queer individuals in public spaces, this access is not unconditional or free of cultural norms. Through the study, we come to realize that Instagram can not only push the boundaries but can also continue to reinforce and reproduce the existing hegemonic notions of gender. The technical policies of Instagram editorial power that Instagram offers to users in form of reporting posts or even pages serve as a tool to censor that which do not fit the heteronormative culture of society. This vilification also differs with race, caste, class, and religious locations of the queer individual. For instance, the cyber attack on queer Bahujan activist Priyanka Paul on the Instagram platform is a marker of this discrimination. So this differential treatment of queer identity often makes us question the quote unquote community perspective of queer movements and realize how diverse the community is. This diversity is also a determinant of which section of the queer community has access to this platform and who gets accepted in this platform. It was observed by some of our interlocutors that there is a higher chance of one getting accepted in the platform as a queer activist or a queer influencer if their presence was marked by well articulated language, especially in English, and included quote unquote aesthetic pictures signifying an urban and upper class location of the query. While these observations call out the classism in the space, a much related aspect is regarding how our capitalist enterprises use this platform to engage with queer movement. Uh, there is nothing new about queer movement being appropriated by capitalist enterprises through their gestures. However, in context of India, where the queer movement is slowly taking up mainstream visibility, this is definitely a new development. But these moves are not welcomed by every section of queer community uh, uncritically. For example, though the IGTV video that Tinder India released to celebrate Pride Month 2020 from home due to COVID-19 pandemic was celebrated by some section of the queers, there was many queer individuals who called out the elitism in the video and the fact that the people who worked with behind the video mainly being cis heterosexual individuals. Thus, it is needs to be noted that although Indian queer movements are not free of the capitalist appropriation, the movement is well aware and vocal about the other side of pink capitalism or market regulated freedom and liberation that these these digital platforms offer. They say even though capitalism can play a role in freeing sexuality, the freedom is an extension of capitalist profit making and market stabilization and can never lead to complete emancipation. Thus, the point is to see how queer movements in future will transcend these capitalist intentions while making use of the limited space these platform offers. To conclude, I quote one of our interlocutors. They say it is a way of vicariously enjoying your life, which many of us have no access to. But it is also stretching the boundaries of your representation and help us fulfill our feeling of belongingness. Now we have a chosen family online that we can vent to or relate to or go live with a consult or get entertained with. And that's a blessing when you feel othered because of your identity. Social media in general has been a big boon for us in finding a personalized community. With that, we end our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.